time for Common Man. Common Man, charge the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot?
Where'd we play?
Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello.
I think we have a very good mix right now. I mean, the morning show does well, comparatively speaking, especially given what it has to go against. Dubers and I have done well, knock on wood, for 4 years. Common and Hartman have done okay, and Barrero is, in my estimation, the primetime player on our station, and cultivating a couple of kids in Sludge and Lake, and, you know, we have the Vikings and maybe some things down the road, so I think we're strong right now.
Defense now! Right back at you. Right back at you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing what a sophisticated offensive game plan looks like. You talk about...
You know, I didn't like the way we were playing in sack, so I just told them, hey, we're going to live and die with me. Y'all, don't nobody like it. Sit your ass down right here. Don't come out here, but we coming through me. You know, that's why I like Sam to come in. You know, I let them do their things for 3 quarters, come fourth quarter, bring it to the ticket.
Sick of it, man. I really am.
Placement, the kick. It is no good. It missed wide to the left. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anderson's last field goal miss, the 15th of December, 1997, against Denver. I'm pulling my tickets. I can't take this anymore.
When the Vikings and the Bears play, it's a street fight. If you're going to get ready for a street fight, you better start getting ready now.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the North. This is the Common Man, Dan Cole.
Over and over and over again. Repetition. What we do here on the Common Man program begins in 5, 3, 2. Greetings, good afternoon, and ack, and dak, to you and yours. Timmy, if I had the Genie's bottle, are you familiar with the old wives' tale? I don't know if it's a fable, if it's an Aesop fable or a Grimm's fairy tale, but it's either a fable or a fairy tale. Stumble across the Genie's lamp, you rub it, Genie pops up, master, you have 3 wishes. My first would be that I would get 3 more wishes. So then I'd have 5, right? So I'd go from 6. The first one I use it's to get 3 more. So now I would have 5 remaining. You can do a lot with 5 wishes. The second would be that it's 12 noon Sunday showdown in the Liberty City. It's Vikings against the Bears. I've not seen the story yet. I'm disappointed. Where's the story about what kind of cleats we're supposed to wear? Because that's the story that always comes up. I think there's some media people in this town that are not, they're shirking their responsibility. And I don't know, is it lazy, stupid, or both? Why are you not writing about the type of footwear the Vikings should wear? Because that's been used as an excuse before losing, getting off to a slow start in the first half. All of a sudden, it's like you'll hear the national guy go. They'll go down a sideline reporter. You know, they'll go down to Ben Lieber and they'll go, Ben, what's the situation? Why are the Vikings having trouble moving the ball? Well, PA, they selected the wrong footwear. Their cleats just won't get into this long grass. They're frantically trying to. Who was our longtime equipment manager? Freddie Zamberletti. Freddie Zamberletti is frantically going through the big steamer trunks trying to find the right, and everybody's trying to swap out. Can we do it in time by the time we get to our next possession? We'll let you know. Back to you, PA. And then, of course, after the game, it's, well, we really had trouble. And then we feel as though the other team cheated because, well, why can't there be a uniform height on all grass at all National Football League stadiums, right?
So it's funny because every time when Greg Coleman was the sideline analyst, they'd go down to him every game in Chicago. Zamberletti was a trainer, by the way.
Oh, was he?
Not the equipment guy.
Who was our equipment guy?
I don't know. But we'd go down to Greg Coleman early second quarter every time we're in Chicago, and he would talk about how they're changing the length on the cleats. And I'm thinking to myself, well, one, like Chicago's not a new location to us. We do this every year. Yeah. Two, don't you test that out pregame? Like, can't you figure out whether there's a slippery field, whether there's conditions in the field that would make, like, why are we waiting till we're halfway through the game before we figure this out?
That's what I would do.
Dennis Ryan was the equipment.
Yeah, Dennis Ryan. They go to Dennis Ryan frantically searching through the steamer trunks to find the right cleats. Back to you, Paul Allen.
Was Zamberletti a certified athletic trainer?
I don't think he was. I think he was back in the day when you were just a trainer and you didn't worry about your job title. Job titles are important to people. Somebody here at the radio station yesterday had their job title changed, Tenneby.
Yeah.
My dear friend, Derek Lonnquist. I call him Lenny.
I always love that.
Everybody calls him Lonnie. I call him Lenny. I don't know why, but he was promoted to market manager yesterday, taking over from my close personal friend, Craig Alexander. And Lonnie worked here years ago. Were you here when Lonnie first worked here?
Yes. Oh, one of my favorite Lonnie stories I'm sure you're about to relay. The golf one.
Oh, I think I've done that a couple of times. I'll do the quick version of it.
It's one of my favorite stories.
He and the sales guy, last name was Darling. Aaron Darling?
Yeah.
So they go, come, we want to golf with you. I go, okay, we'll play the Wilds. We'll go over to the Tom Weisskopf, Jay Morris designed Wilds golf course. Shad Gordon will have us out. He likes sales guys. Shad used to be the longtime general manager over at the Wilds Golf Club in Prior Lake. So we play, and I'm brilliant that day. I shoot. You ready for the horn? 2 under 70 at the Wilds. I'm 4 under through 8 holes.
You're in awe of yourself.
I'm in the right rough on number 9, and I'm standing over my shot, and I look at those guys, and I say, how many people do you think are playing golf right now in the country? They go, I don't know. I said, how many people do you think are playing golf in the world? And we figured it out that the PGA Tour, it was still early in the morning, so the tour hadn't started playing, plus it was a Tuesday. So no tours were being played, so the best players in the world were not playing. So we said, well, I don't know, maybe 1 million people worldwide. I said, of those 1 million people, how many are 4 under through 8? They go, none. Who's the best golfer in the world right now? At that point, Tenneby, I have no reason to believe I wasn't the best golfer in the world. And I was standing over a 5-footer on 9 to go to 5 under, which I've never done. I've shot 32 twice. And I was nervous. I admitted I kind of just gave up on it. I blocked it right because I wanted it so bad. And I pushed it right and I missed it. But they said, now, you can't tell the boss that we're out golfing you, that we're supposed to be out on sales calls. By the way, this is now the guy that's running the place. So, of course, he was young then. He was a baseball player. Did you know that?
Yes.
He was
a very good baseball player.
Minor league Kansas City Royals. Didn't make it to the... Yeah. But he is a hell of a player. Bulldog. Gamer is what we like to call him. So they're in the boss's office, and I come up and they go, Tom, did you play today? I go, yeah, I was over at the Wilds, the Jay Morris, Tom Weisskopf designed Wilds Golf Club. How'd you play? Played really, really well. Then I started, and I don't like to talk about myself or go over my round shot by shot, but I was setting it up for the bit. So I'm going over it, and about 2 minutes into it, I finally stop and look at and I go, the way I'm describing my round, I bet you guys feel like you were there.
I always love that
and
one.
The boss knew no better, and they laughed, and they could hardly contain themselves. But so it was announced yesterday when, there's always a boss to a boss to a boss to a boss. And we have a young lady who is she runs several different markets across the country for iHeart. And she was here to make the announcement. Then we had a little celebration yesterday over at the Loop over here on the West End at 4:00. And tell me, you know how I talked to you about uncomfortable silence?
Yes.
Like, for instance, if you and I were to go to Brainerd to go golfing, I'd rather ride alone, because if I'm riding with you, and I probably shouldn't feel this way, because maybe you don't want to talk either. Maybe you don't mind uncomfortable silence. Scroll through your phone, put on some music, just stare out the window and daydream. But I always feel like I got to keep talking because we're driving together. And if I don't say anything, he's going to think I don't like him or I'm not interested in him. By the 2-hour mark, we're just rolling into Baxter. And I'm saying, so tell me some more about your third grade teacher. I mean, that's how long it takes, right? So the uncomfortable silence in a car, I sort of experienced at the Loop yesterday, because as everybody was offering the congratulations, I didn't think this was wrong. I just said, hey, Eric, congratulations. I'm kind of surprised you got the job, but good for you. Then the place just got quiet.
I always love that.
Why would that be? Was that the wrong thing to say? I was surprised he got the job. Got quiet. Everybody kind of just looked down at their drink. I didn't have one because I quit drinking.
You what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like yesterday, or when did you quit?
May 19th, 1990. Put the cork in the bottle.
Wow.
And you know how I keep that cork? I just don't order a drink when I go to the bar. So yeah, that created some uncomfortable silence at the Loop. And at that point, everybody kind of just took their little twizzle sticks and stirred around in their drinks. And I said, well, on that note, I got to get going. Then I fist pumped my way out like I do at the...
I always love that one.
At the room party when the Chris Hockey Band starts. And that was pretty much the end of it. So if I said something wrong, I apologize. But he has a new title.
Yes.
And everybody is into titles. So good for him. Dennis Ryan, equipment guy, and Freddie Zamberletti was trainer. Now we have athletic trainers, then we have head athletic, and we have certified athletic trainers.
Yes.
This is what we have now, too. So good for them. We do have some controversial Vikings news to get to on the other side. Right?
That's interesting.
And your Wild Club, Tennessee, all they do is continue to win. They win again. I got some great little notes that I got from, I think it was Fish Wrap Factory Westside, where I read the account today. Wild are doing, they're starting to do the things they used to do that made them good. Gopher football team has a big one against Penn State. The basketball team beats Cleveland State. Our guy, Fox on the Fan, has a big game for the Gophers last night. He goes off for like 18. I think it said he made the first three-pointer in his entire career. I mean, we're going all the way back to third grade in-house basketball. He made a three-pointer, and it was a bomb. And then, of course, we have other topics to get to as well, including, looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to be, he's going to be collecting slivers in the old buttocks. He's going to be benched, maybe. Owners wanted him benched for weeks. We'll get to all of those topics and more here on the Common Man program on The Fan.
Dreaming of a winter getaway? Head over to our contest page and enter for your chance to win a trip for two to Ballard's Resort, including lodging for 2 days of angling and meals, all thanks to Mom's Landscaping and Design. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter today.
Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man program. Joe Bonamassa. I'm Comedy's 10 to B. And no Brian Oak today. He had to, he was a late scratch. No! He will not be replaced by Tibida. We just won't do Rock Talk today. But if everybody wants to talk about music, particularly music that was recorded between 1967 and 1971, I'm all for it. That's my wheelhouse. The legendary Mark Rosen will join us just before 2 o'clock. Right now, it's time for Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. Dependable, honest, 24-hour same-day service for over 30 years. They'll give you an upfront, affordable estimate before starting any repair. Go online to schedule at affordable-electric.com. That's affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric. They're shockingly affordable. This is from Vikings Communications at Vikings PR. PR. Public relations. Thanks to Tennessee for providing me our Peek at the Purple today. It says, according to Pro Football Focus, tackle, I was going to do, sorry, I should have done that. T. Brian O'Neill. What does the T stand for? I thought his first name was Brian, so he must be, I don't know what his first name is. Is it Todd? Is it Terry?
Brian must be his middle name.
Yeah, I think, well, that's what I think it is. So T. Brian O'Neill has only allowed 1 sack this season and has not allowed a QB pressure since week 8. His 83.8 PFF grade for offense ranks 4th in the NFL among tackles. minimum 80% of offensive snaps played. Kid can flat out play. And he's sort of, many linemen tend to be, it's the phrase I'm looking for. It's one of those underappreciated kind of positions. It's always, look at Jets. Look what he did. How about Sam Darnold? Look at Hawkinson. It's always the skill position. And rightly so, I understand it. They're the ones that create the oohs and the ahs. How many people ooh and ah? Boy, what a great pancake block by O'Neal. Did you see the way he fended off that edge rusher, pushed him out to the outside, and kept a clean pocket for Sam Darnold? Boy, I'm excited about that. I've got goosebumps watching it. Now, guys like me, when I played on the line, I was fierce pass rushing, Rocket Gibraltar run-stopping defensive line, and I can appreciate a good offensive tackle or guard or a center and what they do to keep the pocket clean and open up holes. But, I remember we've had O'Neal on at, by the way, when is, I know it was sent to me, but I don't remember, when are we doing Toys for Tots again? You at United States Marine Corps?
I believe it's
at Shields, early December, mid-December. I'm not sure the exact date. You probably have
Tuesday, February 3rd.
Okay, so Tuesday, that's right around the corner. Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. And we had Brian O'Neal on. It seems like certainly a couple of times, if not 3 or 4 different times, he's been offered up to us, and we enjoy having. I remember the one time when this was back when he literally was the best lineman on the team. Our line was not good at all, and I kind of offered that up, and I don't want to say he was annoyed, but he fought back on that. He was like, no. Basically, we have a good offensive, we have good players on the line, and all due respect, I think back, when he first joined the team those first couple of years, we didn't have much of an offensive line, and it's gotten much better, especially with the acquisition of Christian Darrisaw. Now, of course, out for the season, but the Vikings made again. I don't have any Pro Football Focus grades for
Cam
Robinson, but I haven't really noticed any issues over there on the left tackle, really. So. It was.
No, they haven't run the balls well. I don't feel like
that's true. That is true. They have not run them. Last week was not good at all for any of our running backs.
But pass protection, he seems to be
Somebody offered up to me. It was on an email or a text message that they think Aaron Jones, while he's a good running back, he doesn't have a lot of that. And you tell me, Tenneby, you are a running back aficionado. It's one of your favorite positions. That he doesn't really have that wiggle and that ability to escape. He's kind of he can move a little bit, but he's more of a north-south runner. Do you believe that, or do you think he's good at cutting left, cutting right? I mean, I know people think this has turned into a KFAN Detroit, but like the Gibbs character, and there's not many guys like him that. I mean, they can change direction, it seems like, in midair, mid-stride. They change direction, they move, they find different ways to get it. And Jones, that last week wasn't able to make any room for himself. You believe that? Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to compare it to Jahmyr Gibbs, yes, he doesn't have any wiggle, because Jahmyr Gibbs has as much wiggle as any running back on the planet. Is Aaron Jones like a threat to go 60, 70, 80 yards? Not necessarily, right. But I guess it depends on how you define wiggle. Like, he seems like he gets yards after contact.
Yes, he does.
He hasn't recently, but for a good chunk of the season, there's been many times where it looks like he's about to get tackled for a loss, and he somehow gets 6-7 yards out of it. So, I don't think he's one of those guys that just gets tackled and falls down right away.
Correct. Yeah. That's for sure.
And I've always said before, when you're looking at run success, you've always had like the quarterback wide receiver debate. Does the wide receiver make the quarterback? Does the quarterback make the wide receiver?
Yeah.
I would say the same thing for the offensive line. All right. Yeah. You're going to have your few outliers, your Christian McCaffreys, guys like that. But for most of the rest of the running backs, you show me a good offensive line that can run the ball well.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a running back that can get some yards in this league. And I think our pass blocking's pretty good on our O-line. But we've seen it, and maybe it changes with Reisner taking that Ingram spot. I don't know. Once he gets more accustomed to the right guard, but it's been for years, especially with Garrett Bradbury at center, that we've kind of struggled running the ball, specifically in the interior.
Reisner in for Ed Ingram, as you mentioned. Was that the first week?
Last week, yes.
Last week was the first week. Was there any noticeable difference? Did we? I know that I thought I saw a quote from KOC. And what else is he going to say? You know, these coaches generally, unless a guy lays an egg, they're going to praise him. And they said they loved everything Reisner did and the veteran savvy that he brought to the club, no panic or whatever he said. And I'm assuming that's true. So I was always kind of surprised Reisner hadn't been playing a little bit more. Because I thought when he played, was it last year or the year before when he
last
came
year?
I
thought he was good. Yeah,
he played. When he was re-signed
left
again
guard last year.
I thought he was going to be reinserted in the starting lineup, but apparently not. But now he is, and he played. They did insert him in the lineup, and I think part of that is because Blake Brandel has been playing pretty well at left guard. That I didn't really see that coming in the offseason. Yeah. So the line has been again to go back. To go back to what we talked about at the very beginning about oftentimes line play goes unnoticed until it's pointed out. And it's usually the pro football focused people with these QB pressures and all these other statistics that I don't know where, how I don't even know how they. Someone, I guess, has to watch each player and say, was that a pressure or not? Nope, that wasn't a pressure. Well, that was kind of a pressure, but it really wasn't. But O'Neill's been a standout for the Vikings, and it's good to see. So that's your Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric, dependable, honest, 24-hour or same-day service, and they will give you an upfront, affordable estimate before starting any repair. Go online and schedule, affordable-electric.com, affordable-electric.com. Remember, affordable electric. Shockingly affordable. We'll take a break, come back. Want to talk Wild, Tennessee? I'm on the bandwagon. I might even leave the running board and take a seat. We'll talk about that other side of the break. Common Man program on the Fan.
Join Forgotten Star Brewing in Fridley as they support the Destination Asheville project to help those affected by Hurricane Helene. Drop off your donations of new or like-new items at their tap room in Fridley until November 30th. And let's show the Asheville community what Minnesota Nice is all about. Get a full list of details now at ForgottenStarBrewing.com, keyword Destination Asheville.
I just assisted you, Tennessee, in your producing duties. I got up off of my chair, went out to the printer, and brought in the Wild Wednesday liner.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I do. Don't ever say I never did anything for you. Wild Wednesday on the Fan, presented by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. They want to send you to an upcoming game. We'll give away a pair of tickets later. Don't call now. Later, we'll give away a pair of tickets to see the Wild versus the Preds. That game is scheduled for, I think, the 30th of this month. So it's a couple of weeks off, but still tickets for the Preds versus Wild at the Fuse Box. We'll give those away a little bit later. Number of ways to contact us, 1-800-320-5326. Our phone number. Don't bother. The line's been disconnected until we give away tickets. There's also a booth at KFAN.com. That's our email address. I don't get much to that. Better off sending us a message via carrier pigeon. There's the Ahala hotline. Brad, Sean, Brian, KFAN text line, 64686. That's always popular. You could just, right here at booth, I see them. They come right up before my very eyes. Or email texter guy, or screener guy that's in our studio will also take a look at them and sift through them. I can't get to all of them. They come in at, there's so many at such a rapid pace, it's hard to keep up with all of them. And then, of course, we have the Talkback, KFAN Talkback, iHeartRadio app, find the Fan, click the microphone icon, corner of the screen, and you'll have 30 seconds or less to deliver us a audio message, and we may choose to play it. There's also another way to get a hold of me, and that's at comment@kfan.com. It's my personal email. And this one came in yesterday, Tennessee, and as I've told you before, we take the 5 C's, compliments, complaints, concerns, comments, and questions. I guess this would fall under the category of compliment. It says, Common. I've been listening to you since I was a 10-year-old riding shotgun in my father's F-350, whether at a baseball practice, into town for parts, or otherwise. You were still on the static of the AM 1130 frequency. Hopefully I don't date you too badly, but I'm 31 now. I miss those days. It was one of the few ways that my stoic Swedish dad and I could bond. I wanted to share my experience with you tonight at the REO Speedwagon concert in Duluth. I felt I was one of a handful of people who was vibing out to Keep Pushing, which Tennessee uses as a montage music bed for Vikings. He says, I felt I was one of a handful of people who was vibing out to Keep Pushing. It wasn't one of their top hits to most common folk, but it is to me due to your features over the years. Just another one of the small influences you brought upon my life. Whether it's using a couple 13, 14 in everyday vernacular or not falling victim to Avatar, you've brought much folk wisdom and joy to my life than you could ever imagine.
Oh.
You likely have to open this file via Google Drive due to its size. I don't know if you can do that, Boomer, but I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for everything, Common. You've given me confidence in the best of times and worst of times. I hope you don't quit till your vocal cords fall out or until paleontologists sift through the rubble and find your cold, dead, rigor mortis-laden lips attached to the Neumann VCM microphone. By the way, it's not a Neumann anymore. It's an Electrolux RE27. Thank you for everything. You are the last bastion of high-quality American radio broadcasting, and you should be given the raise you so richly deserved. Signed, Deuce and baby brother Pete. No, that's Kyle out of North Branch. I appreciate it.
Wow, that was very kind.
It is very kind. It's, and I don't like to bring those things up publicly on the airwaves. That would be sort of like tend to be me offering congratulations to somebody via Twitter, just because I want everybody to know I'm congratulating that person instead of just doing it privately. I did it with Lonnie when I said, hey, I'm surprised you got the job, but congratulations. I did that in private. Well, actually, there are other people around, but I do appreciate the compliment. You're Minnesota Wild, Tinneby. You are the Jolly Green Giant, and you must be very very pleased with the way the season has started. The Wild, after losing to the Dallas Stars a couple of games ago, they bounced back. They beat St. Louis 4-2. They're now, I got some numbers here. They're 12-3-3. Their 27 points are tied for second in the National Hockey League. 8 road wins, 18 away points. That's first in the National Hockey League. And I don't recall which player. I saw it in the Chris Hine piece. He's a beat writer for Wildfish Rat Factory West Side. One of the players said they enjoy playing away from home. I certainly know he didn't mean that as a backhanded shot to the home fans. We don't like playing in front of the home fans. They just enjoy playing away. We've talked about that, Tinneby. I don't know if it takes a special, if it's a certain you're wired that way. But I think there are players that, and I bet it's most players, you like being, it's us against the world. You go to the opposition's rink, court, field, whatever the case may be. All the fans are against you. Obviously it's you're just one group of guys, and it's you against the world. And when you're able to win on the road, when you're able to silence the crowd, has to be satisfying. I think
there's 2 different types of personalities, right? The one that likes the roar of the crowd, and the other that loves shutting up the other team's crowd. Especially, it depends on how you're built.
Yeah, and then you can do the old, you put your finger in front of your lips like, shh, we've shut you down, we're quiet.
Phil Kessel did that once when he was playing his 1 year for the Gophers, and they were playing out Wisconsin, which is where he was from, so they were bitter that he chose Minnesota over Wisconsin. Then he scored a goal at Wisconsin and cupped his hand up to his ear. Right. I don't hear you guys screaming anymore.
Yeah, isn't that
Don't
funny?
Hear you talking. It was genius.
You call him Dollar Bill. Kirill, I just call him Caps for short. Of course, we're talking about Kirill.
Kaprizov.
2 goals last night. He has 33 points. That's second in the National Hockey League. He now has 12 multi-point games. That leads the National Hockey League. And he has 4 multi-goal games, which is tied for first in the National Hockey League. And you've brought this up on a number of occasions now. He was always considered, right from the very start, one of the better players, one of the fun, new, exciting young players. I don't necessarily know how young he is because he played,
He's 27 still. He's in his prime.
So he played over, over in Russia for years. It
took him like 5 years to get here.
Yeah, exactly. And remember when there was a lot of hand wringing and nail biting about whether he would come over here at all. And we would remember when I had you on a regular basis check to see if he re-upped his country club membership at the Leningrad Country Club, because that would be a sure sign. Remember when they would do that for Rogers? Some intrepid reporter with the Green Bay Daily Planet would go over to the Green Bay Country Club and see, is Rogers re-signed up? And I mean, that would be a telltale sign, right? If you're putting down your membership dues for the upcoming year at a country club, probably kind of means you're sticking around, right? So,
we've had hand wringing a couple times with Kaprizov because, like I said, it took him, I think, 5 years to get here. Mm-hmm. So, like, throughout his time in Russia, and he was starting to light up the KHL, and we're starting to go, man, we got ourselves a steal here. We drafted him in the 5th round, and he's one of the best KHL players. And then he would re-sign with this KHL team.
Correct.
So we had the hand wringing, would he ever come here?
Right.
And then we had the first contract extension. When he finally got the big deal. And we were hoping to sign him for 8 years. We only signed him for 5 so that we can do their hand wringing again this upcoming offseason.
And that's probably just smart on his point. Why sign for 8 when you can sign for 5? I mean,
sign in his prime again.
There's a bit of a risk if all of a sudden your play falls off and they go, sorry, you ain't worth much of a raise for the next 3 years. But I think he was confident in his abilities and he's been brilliant. Obviously,
he's going to get a massive raise.
He's going to get a massive a contract. And then Gus, brilliant in goal again. He had 22 saves. His record is 9-3-2. His 2.07 goals against average is tops in the National Hockey League, and his 926 save percentage is second best in the National Hockey League. So we're scoring goals, and not just with Kirill Kaprizov, but with others as well. Boldy's been very good. We've had a lot.
If you have the second leading point getter and the first or second best goalie statistically in the National Hockey League, you're going to win some hockey games.
That's it's a nice problem to have.
Yes,
yeah, and so it's been very good.
Now, one of Kaprizov's 2 goals last night was an empty netter.
Okay,
and he's had a couple of those lately to kind of pad the stats a little bit. But I would also say he's now being counted on in those situations, right? Like before, you didn't know if he was good enough defensively, where he wasn't a slam dunk, he'd be out on the ice in those situations. And he's closing the door every single time. But the goal he had that wasn't an empty netter last night, like his hand-eye coordination is just absolutely insane. Like how he got a piece of that Jake Middleton shot. Like Middleton was shooting probably from where you are to I would. Like you're Middleton, I'm Kaprizov. That's how far apart. And he tipped that thing, redirected it.
Yeah.
Just insane hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, he's
and he's been good here. He's playing at another level now. Like he's taken his game even further. And Boldy's taken his game to another level. And Marco Rossi has taken his game to another level. So, some of these young guys that we're waiting for to keep emerging, this team was going to need internal improvement probably to get better. And you have some guys that are taking that step up.
I mentioned to you or asked you before week or two ago, do you think this is sustainable? And I got to admit, I don't remember what you said because I really wasn't listening. I was just waiting for my chance to talk. But it's starting to become, one of our favorite phrases in sports. And I don't know how recent it's been. It seems like it's just been the last 5-10 years or so. Small sample size. Small sample. This is now starting to become more than a small sample size. What did we say our record is 12-3-3?
They're 18 games in.
That's 18 games in. So,
it's almost a quarter of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in the NHL, they always use Thanksgiving as like
I think you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, they always use that as the mark of whether a team is legit or not, and we're 4 games away from Thanksgiving. And they have the second best record in the NHL. They have the second leading point getter in the NHL. And depending on what goalie stat you want to use, they have the best goalie in the National Hockey League right now.
We have a new line, I'm told. Marcus Johansson, Marco Rossi, Ryan. It would be Marcus Johansson, Marco Rossi, and Ryan Hartman. That's our new R line.
It is Johansson.
It is Johansson?
Which, by the way, Leo, for the longest time, thought that was his full name, that it was Joe Hansen.
Well, Leo and I have a lot in common because I thought the same thing. I thought his name was Joe. I thought his name was Joe
First
Hansen.
name Joe, last name Hansen.
Marcus Johansson, Marco Rossi, and Ryan Hartman. It's not easy to roll all those R's. They don't just roll off your tongue like you'd expect them. So good for them.
And Hartman's American, and you still roll it.
That's exactly right. So good for him.
Well, on the play Rossi made last night on the Hartman goal, to force the turnover in the neutral zone and to be able to turn in a manner in which it looked like he was going to fall down because it was really hard to cut that quickly and then make just a brilliant pass to Hartman. Rossi had a little bit of a stretch there where I think the coaching staff was a little disappointed, but his start of the season and even the last couple of games, I think he's played very well. got a whole nother level of confidence.
We talked about the Gophers. They beat Cleveland State again. Some of these teams they're playing aren't the Gophers obviously going into the season weren't considered to be a Big Ten powerhouse. Dawson Garcia's off to a nice start, and Parker Fox had a nice game. So it's nice to see the Golden Gophers. When Big Ten action comes, that'll be a whole different story. But we'll keep our eye on that. I saw that Mark Craig wrote a piece earlier this morning, tend to be Viking related. Jaron Allen, a Pro Football Hall of Fame semifinalist. He's been there before. Kevin Williams is not a semifinalist, and he again has that would be he has not been a semifinalist, I guess, in the past. Hall of Fame Selection Committee, which currently stands at 49 and could expand to 50 by the time it meets to select the class of 2025, trimmed its list of 50 modern era candidates to 25. Players joining Allen as semifinalists in their first year of eligibility are linebacker Luke Kuechly, quarterback Eli Manning, edge rusher Terrell Suggs, safety Earl Thomas, no relation to Earl Thomas Conley, the country singer, kicker Adam Vinatieri, and guard Marshall Yanda. The list also includes 17 players who were semifinalists last year. Torrey Holt, Hines Ward, Darren Woodson, Reggie Wayne, Fred Taylor, players besides Allen who are semifinalists for a fifth time are corner because a lot of these players have been semifinalists for years on end. I didn't mention it, but like Hines 9, Woodson 9, Wayne 6, etc. Players besides Allen who are semifinalists for a fifth time are cornerback Eric Allen, running back Ricky Waters, and offensive tackle Willie Anderson. There's a first-time semifinalist Richard Webb. Other semifinalists Anquan Bolden. Guard, is it Jari Evans? I don't know. Antonio Gates, James Harrison, Rodney Harrison, Robert Mathis, Steve Smith Jr., and tackle Vince Wilfork. I'm not going to pretend to know which guys should get in and which shouldn't. It seems like the National Football League almost has like a mandatory 10 got to get in. Doesn't it seem like every year 10 guys get the gold jacket? And my take, I think it's been well established, at least here on the Grum. Hall of Fames, they're cool. All right. I think it's a little overdone. I mean, it's just another version of idolizing and pedestalizing. You become a great player, you become an all-pro or Pro Bowler, and you get paid big money, you're idolized and pedestalized on television, then make a big deal upon your retirement, then the team puts you in the Ring of Honor, and then they do a Hall of Fame. I think that's about it. And once you get to the Hall of Fame, there's not another level. That's it. Once you get there, you're in.
You're at the Rosen level.
You're at the Rosen level, but sounds like that's the only former Viking would be Jared Allen. And
Kevin Williams was in the top 50, but did not make the top 25.
That's correct. And so...
And I kind of wonder with Williams, I thought Williams was a pretty darn good player here. But his name is Kevin Williams, which is a boring name.
You think that has something to do with it?
He plays a boring position, right? Interior of the defensive line. And kind of what I said about Harrison Smith the other day, Kevin Williams was a boring personality, right? Like he made the play, but he wasn't doing some sort of sack celebration.
Right.
He wasn't roping the cattle, so everyone was looking at him like he just would just go... He would do his job.
Go back to the huddle.
So he doesn't get his, I'm assuming it's the media people voting on this still, is it? Or is it NFL people voting on it?
I think it's all media.
Yeah.
Really, I'm pretty sure.
So that stuff doesn't stick out to the media.
There was
he wasn't attention seeking.
Williams, remind me, wasn't he drafted 7th? Well, actually 9th, but 9 sounds more than 8. That's when we didn't get that's the famous, we played a soundbite from time to time where Tice goes, calm down. Because the fans here locally that were in attendance at the Vikings draft party. I attended one Vikings draft party. I was part of the Vikings draft party coverage at the old Winter Park. Speaking of Jared Allen, when didn't we trade our first round pick to get Jared Allen? I think we traded a couple of picks.
We traded like first and a third.
To first and a third to get Jared Allen. And so the excitement level of waiting to see who we select it wasn't there, which was okay because, Allen, obviously a talented player, talented enough to be nominated again as a semifinalist.
As a first-round pick and 2 third-round picks.
to be selected to the, it'd be a semifinals for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I remember I wore a Kevin Williams jersey as part of the coverage. I was sort of, how Deuce was forced to watch baby brother Peter play basketball. Potato said, you're going to go watch your brother play whether you like it or not. The old supporting your siblings, right? Which I think, I don't think that's uncommon that the older sibling doesn't want to go watch the younger sibling play sports. I don't think Deuce is alone there. It's like they'd rather be with their buddies. They don't want to go to some gym and watch double dribble, travel, airball. I was forced to be here. So I was kind of forced into the Vikings coverage, and they forced me to wear a Kevin Williams jersey. So I had a Kevin Williams. I don't even know. I might still have it somewhere in mothball somewhere. But my job during the draft coverage was I would interview rubes at the party. So they go, let's go to Dan Cole. Dan, what's going on down there? I'm talking with Joe Bag of Donuts. Joe, how do you feel about, the trade for Jared Allen? Yeah, I really like it. Been a Viking fan for 20 years. Season ticket holder for 15. Skol Vikes, But it was a big deal when Allen got signed, and he had a great career. Whether it makes the Hall of if he makes it great, I don't know.
He might have a shot at it.
He might have a shot at it. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, Eli Manning's going to get in right away, and I don't get it. Eli Manning is not a Hall of Fame quarterback.
You don't think so?
No. And I get it. He won 2 big games. I get it. If you look at his overall passing yards, at no point during Eli Manning's career was he ever considered a top 5 quarterback.
What do
against comparable comport? The problem is his numbers are compared to the quarterbacks from the 60s and 70s, so they look inflated.
What about those 2 big game victories don't you like? What about those?
They were great.
Like? He should be first ballot, unanimous.
Every time the Vikings played him, he looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens.
Interception machine.
Yeah.
If you want to argue he's Hall of Fame, sure, but he ain't first ballot.
I think he's Hall of Fame. You're right. He doesn't. You're not going to compare him to the pretty passers, and you're not going to compare him to the Braves or stuff. But there's room in the Hall for guys that when he was instrumental in those big games. I mean, it wasn't him alone. He had a lot of help. I always thought. I think if I was casting,
other than those 2 big games, like every other season of his career, he was
really
a middle of the road at best quarterback.
I would. If I had a ballot and I don't, I would vote for him. Now, here's my biggest issue as we're going to break. It's generally when I get my lunch ready for 5, 3, 4, but I've got 4 different things to heat up today. I've got leftover roast beef, mashed potatoes and gravy, and squash. You don't like squash. You think squash is yucky.
That's
right?
yucky.
Yeah. So I sent a picture of I'm having the same thing for lunch today as I did yesterday. I'm a garbage disposal. I'm eating up the rest of the, someone responded to my tweet. I said, lunch is served. And they said, well, if you had a little vegetable in there to round that out. I said, well, that's what squash is. It's squash is a vegetable. Last I checked, grows out of the ground. It's got a stem on it. It's found in the field.
Isn't potato technically a vegetable as well?
I think potatoes.
Mashed potatoes. There you go. That's your vegetable.
So I've got 2 vegetables.
Yeah.
And I got my protein, and then I got the gravy. And so, but warming up the all 3, it's going to be impossible to get it done during the break. So I know this
you can't warm it all up together?
Well, yeah, but there's 2 microwaves. Oftentimes one is being used. No, you
can't. I'm saying putting all items on one plate at the same time.
The gravy heats up so fast that it'll be boiling over.
The gravy you can do separately, but I think the other items you can put all on.
Well, again, the meat gets hot too quick, and then it gets kind of chewy. I'm an expert. Trust me. I've done this for years here at the Fan at 1 o'clock. The meat gets too chewy, so you have to do them separately if you want to have it done exactly right. Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
It's been done before where a host here at the Fan will just get up and disappear during an entire segment, just be gone. And then the producer has to sort of take over that segment. Would you just be willing to do that? If I disappear for the first 4 or 5 minutes of 5, 3, 4, could you ask yourself the questions and answer them? It's been done here at the radio station.
Can I respond?
Yeah, sure.
I technically would be willing to do it, but I don't want to enable you to do it. Think you can do that forever, because I think that's what happens in other cases is people get enabled.
I think you might be right because it's happened more than once.
Yeah. So that's my fear.
Okay.
That if I do it for you, I'm now enabling you to do it in the future.
Brian.
Plus, we already got our wild discussion out of the way. That would have been the one where I could have killed 5 minutes for you.
Brian Oakley, scratch. You don't have to like it, but you have to respect it. So he won't be in today. But the legendary Mark Rosen will join us just before 2 o'clock. We go to break. 534 on the other side. And Tenna, as always, has a tease, please.
Mayday in Green Bay is back.